Well, I wrote that song pretty soon after I moved to Nashville from Florida, which is where I was raised, and just wanted to write a song about trusting God, because so much in my life was changing at that point. I was, about to make a record, and I moved away from home and all that, and I just had to sort of let go of some things that that I wanted to plan and I wanted to control, and just say, God, it's all in your hands, because He always does a better job with our dreams than we do. And so when we sat down to write the song, it just kind of came out in such a fun, funky way that I'm so glad that it's got a deep personal message, but it's really fun, and I think a lot of people can relate to it. So I'm so thrilled to how the song is just, people are responding to it.
How much influence would you say your parents have had in your life and your walk, your faith, things
Sure.
like that have come through in your music?
Oh, well, I'm an only child, and I was raised in a Christian home. My parents are amazing. They never pushed me into the entertainment world at all. In fact, they were probably more like, are you sure you want to do this? Because we know how hard it is. And, just it's a dark world. It can be. The Christian industry, thankfully, is not so much. So I'm grateful to be where I'm at. But, yeah, they're so supportive, such godly people, and I wouldn't be who I am or where I am without them. I'm so blessed to have a good relationship with my parents, and just for them to be together and still walking with the Lord is pretty awesome.
I know your parents are both involved in theatre. Your mum has performed in like The King and I, and your dad's done conducting and different things like that. That obviously would have had some effect on your music. Is there anything in particular, I guess, any songs you think that might have, I guess, some influence from that?
Sure. Well, gosh, there's no particular song I can think of, but as a kid, I listened to every sort of Broadway musical soundtrack you can get your hands on, and a lot of jazz because of their influence, I think. And yeah, definitely, I'm so glad that I had that background, just because I know so much about, different types of music, and also just good quality songs, what goes into writing a song. And I think it's invaluable having that sort of background and all that. So, yeah.
If you could be in any theatre production playing any role, what would it be?
Well, The Secret Garden, Mary Lennox, but I'm pretty much really too old to play her now, because I think she's supposed to be 12 or 13. So gosh, who else would I want to be? I wouldn't mind being in The Sound of Music, or My Fair Lady.
Oh,
I know those. Those are two
The lead
favorites.
roles, or?
Duh.
Is there any song on your new album that you think defines you the best as a person?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think Free to Be Me, maybe. I wrote that song about 3 years ago, and at this point, nothing with the label or the record was happening. I was just writing songs in college and playing locally, and I was going through, well, actually, I wrote the song after I backed into someone's car, and it was a really avoidable accident. Like, it was just me kind of being goofy, and I was just kind of crying. I was feeling really sorry for myself. Like, how did I do this? It's so expensive, and God, how did I make such a dumb mistake? And I really just felt God say, you know what? It's okay. You're not perfect, and I love you anyway. And I started singing this chorus, and it's really just about accepting yourself and knowing that God loves you no matter what. And I think that probably defines me the most, because that's what I need to remind myself the most of, that it doesn't matter, even if I mess up, there's always grace, there's always forgiveness, as long as I come to Him. And so I'd say that's probably the song that defines me the most. And yeah. Well, I would say work hard. You'll have to. Write as much as you can if you are inclined to write songs. And play out as much as you possibly can. Any sort of show at the beginning. I played, gosh, I can't even begin to tell you the crazy places I played in the past 5 or 6 years. But you have to, you have to pay your dues. And I'd say the most important thing is just be true to who you are as an artist. Don't try to just match the trends, because people will see through that. You know what I mean? You just have to be who you are and write what you write and sing what you sing, and hope that someday something great happens. And if not, keep going. If it's your dream and if God's called you, keep doing it. Someone will be impacted by what you're doing, no matter what scale it's on.
I know when you were younger, around 15, you were in an all-girls group singing from place to place. What was it like being in something like that?
It was an experience, definitely. It was different than what I'm doing now, of course, but we got to play, man, at some really cool venues. We played at House of Blues in Orlando a few times, and Hard Rock Live, and we got to play in Las Vegas, and just travel a lot. And I think it was really good for me to learn just the music industry as opposed to, you know, the theater world, because they're obviously very different. And it was a great way. I didn't see it then, but looking back, I think God really prepared me for where I am today through those years in that group, and had a great time. I mean, I was in high school, and we really had a great time just playing and performing and being girls, and it was fun.
Girly nights and giggling.
Exactly, chocolate, and lots of that.
On your album, I couldn't help but notice, I love Volkswagen Beetles.
Do you? Good.
And so when I saw that on the cover, I just had to ask
Yeah.
if it was anything and your input, or if it was just the creative, like whoever's in charge of those kind of things.
You know, it was a last minute thing. It wasn't necessarily my idea. Someone at the label knew someone with the car, and we were in that area, and they're like, let's just see if he's around and maybe we can use this car. But I did actually own a blue Beetle back, well, I didn't own it. I borrowed it from my parents in college, but I drove one. So it was new, obviously, but I'm a VW fan as well. And I was in Arizona last week, and literally within like 20 minutes saw two of these old Beetles, the same color, like up just randomly on, you know, like parked somewhere. And I was doing a show, so I was like, this is so cool. It's just so weird. You don't see them very often. Anyway.